Hello all, and thanks for tuning in for this paranormal pit stop. Tonight, we'll be exploring a massively famous and iconic urban recreational expanse located in the heart of New York City, New York, between 5th Avenue and 59th Street, amidst Upper West and Upper East Manhattan. That, at 843 acres, is actually recognized as the 5th largest park in its sweeping city, as the most visited urban park in the United States, and is quite literally the most filmed location in the world, rumored to be roamed by a range of ghostly manifestations after dark. Are you sure you're ready to brave the history and hauntings of Central Park? Historically, by the 1840s, New York City's elite would band together to demand the establishment of a large park space located within Manhattan, and subsequently, in July of 1853, the New York State Legislature would authorize the building of such a space through the passing of what was called the Central Park Act, which resulted in the purchase of our present-day Central Park's lands. However, unfortunately, this would simultaneously result in the destruction of several freestanding villages that rested on future park grounds, including of the forced eviction of the African-American settlement of Seneca Village. Clearing of park lands would begin through October of 1855, preceding the release of the Land Commission's reports. It's documented that through the process, approximately 1,600 residents would be displaced or evicted under eminent domain, and through April of 1858, commissioners would select the renowned Frederick Law Olmsted and Calvert Vaux's Greensward Plan as a design layout for what was to be. Through December of the same year, Central Park's Southwestern Lake section was open to the public. Through June of 1859, the Ramble Cave was established, and later in 1859, New York legislature would authorize the purchase of an additional 65 acres for park use off the expanse's northern end. Over the years, its location, coupled with its breathtaking design, would result in Central Park's popularity increasing rapidly amongst the population of New York and amongst tourists. By 1867, it would accommodate around 3 million visitors annually. Through the late 1860s and early 1870s, a slew of structures were constructed across park bounds, including the Children's District, the Ballplayers House, and the Dairy. And in 1867, Central Park was officially deemed completed, though it would continue to welcome expansions, modernizations, and additions well into the 20th and 21st centuries. In 1926, the Heckscher Playground, which derives its moniker from the prominent philanthropist August Heckscher, would open to the public. In 1934, the park's menagerie and arsenal were repurposed into our modern Central Park Zoo, and in 1950, part of the pond would be transformed into the Woolman ice skating rink. In 1963, Central Park would be honored as a National Historic Landmark. In 1974, it would be listed as a New York City Scenic Landmark, and since 1998, the whole of the park property has been managed under the non-profit Central Park Conservancy, who has gone the extra mile time and time again in fundraising in order to meet the park's rather extensive annual operating costs. In the present, and as if half the world wasn't already aware, Central Park remains open, ever standing as a true icon and symbol of New York as a whole. Its bounds measure 2.5 miles from its north to south ends and a half mile between its east and west sides, and feature a range of attractions including the Hallett Nature Sanctuary, the Woolman Rink, the Central Park Carousel, the Central Park Zoo, the Central Park Mall, Bethesda Terrace, the Dalcourt Theater, and much, much more. Chillingly, and surprising exactly no one at all, lands now holding Central Park have played witness to literally countless deaths throughout history, likely spanning back thousands of years to before Europeans ever even set eyes on America, up into more recent deaths due to illness, murder, or worse, and those braving the area have reported a host of ghostly encounters, including disembodied voices or music detected on the winds, run-ins with shadowy manifestations that stalk lone walkers, and disembodied footsteps that emanate from vacant spaces. The first documented murder to transpire within the park would occur in 1870, when a man was stabbed to death in a case of mistaken identity. Incidentally, his phantom, clad in old-timey clothing and with a bloody hole in his torso, has been observed wandering confusedly about, as if he's still not quite sure why he was killed in the first place. Several informal investigations of Central Park have yielded high EMF levels, chilling EVPs, odd fluctuations on thermal grids, strange malfunctions with well-maintained equipment, and apparent communication with the beyond through the use of a variety of tools, including both spirit boards and boxes, while others have described the constant feelings of being watched, of being followed, or even of being touched or grabbed at by someone or something unseen, as well as encounters with a range of apparitions in clothing spanning literally centuries past. One more tragic local legend that intertwines with actual history tells of spinsters Janet and Rosetta Vandervoort, who both passed on in 1880. As it's documented, Janet and Rosetta's father was very controlling, and through their younger years, wouldn't even let the girls leave the house, which rested just beside Central Park, except for them to go ice skating. Notably, the pond near the Woolman Rink is believed to have stood as a symbol of freedom from the oppression these women experienced every day of their lives, and many now tell that their ghosts, young and unburdened, are often spotted gliding gracefully across its surface, laughing and twirling together off into eternity. Reported over the rest of the park and confined to no areas in particular are strange floating orbs and spook lights that flit amongst its trees, and an overwhelming feeling of discomfort or anxiety sensed by those walking alone. Lastly, the Ramble Cavern is an artificial cavern that was designed for park recreation, and that quickly became a popular hangout for local teenagers and those in need of a temporary shelter. Sadly, through the early 1900s, the cave would act as scene to a handful of crimes, including to murders and to at least one suicide, and through the 1930s, it was actually bricked over. Though now inaccessible, its stone staircase is still visible, and near the aged immense, many have told of screams, of knocking, and of desperate scratching noises detected from just beyond the impenetrable barricade. Thanks for joining us on this Paranormal Pit Stop. If you enjoyed hearing our histories and ghost stories, subscribe to our channel, like this upload, and share us with anyone you think could use a good scare. We'll catch you all next time, if something else doesn't first.